On this episode of Deep Thrones, we review House of the Dragon Season 2, Episode 2, Rhaenyra the Cruel. We pay our respects at the wake of Jaehaerys Targaryen. We plant the seeds of war, and we experience some brotherly love with the Cargill Bowl, plus many more hilarious segments. Winter is here.
Welcome to Deep Thrones, the most entertaining podcast in the world of Ice and Fire. I'm Sims, my partner Sheedy's here. What's up, dog?
Hey, how's everybody doing?
Doing great, man. We got a freaking Cargill Bowl.
We got a Cargill Bowl.
We got a Cargill Bowl. Episode 2.
Episode 2, we got the Cargill Bowl, which if you're a book reader, you were expecting it, but I didn't know it would happen that early. With a shortened season, I guess it makes sense a little bit, but man, it was epic.
It was epic, and we'll discuss that coming up. But first, please like, share, subscribe on all social media channels and all podcast apps. So there's the plug there. Let's, what are current events happening right now? I don't even know. The Celtics won, I guess.
The Celtics won. Yeah, the Celtics won. They did what's called a gentleman's sweep, where you win in Game 5. Instead of like a full-blown sweep. So there's that aspect of that. And what about in hockey?
Yeah, we got a Game 7 coming up.
Game 7 coming up. Edmonton was down 3-0, and now it's 3-3 going to Game 7. If you're Florida Panthers right now,
you're sweating a little bit.
You're sweating buckets, man. You do not want to be that team.
That'll be tonight. When this airs Monday morning, the Game 7's Monday night, right?
Monday night, yeah, that's right. So this, depending on when you're listening to this, it might have already happened. This is like some weird brand-style time warp you're living in where the time travel doesn't really make sense and the rules aren't clearly defined.
And Boston keeps winning championships in all times.
Good for them. As a fan of Chicago sports, I'm jealous, if I'm being honest.
We're due.
Yeah, we're due for a good one.
So, well, you know what? Whatever. Chicago sports aren't doing too hot as far as championships go right now, but we're due.
On the upswing. I'd say, in a lot of different areas, except the White Sox, but everywhere else. And the Bulls, but everywhere else. And the Cubs.
Apparently we have like 2 good pitchers, but
Chicago Sky beat the Indiana Fever today.
Whoa.
The Indiana Fever were up like 12, and Angel Reese put the team on her back. She was balling.
She's balling. I mean, her and Camila Cardoso are going to be, hopefully Sky lifers and
big tall,
really good. So.
Big and tall.
Well, all right, let's dive into the episode because we got a lot to unpack here.
This was a busy
2-minute episode.
This was a busy episode. I thought pretty slow at some parts. I'm gonna be a little critical of it because I think you liked it overall. I also liked it to a degree, but I think there was stuff they could have done better. But that's the nature of the beast, you know. That's what we do in this podcast.
That's the beast beneath the boards.
That is. So, anyways, it opens chaos in the Red Keep, bloody clothes. People running around, people being rounded up, dogs and guards hunting for assassins. Aegon's freaking out.
And this is what we were looking for. We knew there had to be some sort of big reaction in the wake of, the prince dying, getting murdered in his own chambers. And we got that. They're screaming throughout the whole, I think, first 10 minutes of this episode, where you're in different chambers having different conversations and people are just yelling in the background.
Yeah. And Aegon is absolutely off his fucking rocker.
Aegon's raging, throwing things, hitting things.
Well, he's breaking that thing that, like, Viserys, he's like the Viserys toys. He's fucking up Viserys' toys.
The Legos. Viserys' Legos.
You ask Gregor Clegane what happens if you fuck with somebody else's toys in the world of Westeros. He's lucky that Viserys wasn't still alive, because if he was, he'd probably crumble because he was full of leprosy, but he would try to correct that kid.
He was no Clegane.
No. He's definitely maybe Clegane toward the end, but yeah.
And Aegon at this point, I declare war. I mean, we were kind of already there, brother. My BNC. I mean, we were pretty close to.
Yeah, I do love the retroactive "I declare war." That's great. That was great. That's like when the Soviets were knocking down the doors of Berlin. If Germany was like, hey, "Listen, guys," well, yeah, But
Interesting scene here. Yeah.
Interesting scene. Aemon's like looking around, like I think for clues. He's doing the whole mystery machine thing. He's Scooby Doo, and he sees like a door that doesn't have a door. It's just like a doorway, I guess. And he's like, "This is an entry point." He's like, "This could have been a place they came in." But then he finds gold, which they were paid in gold, so maybe a stray gold
coin dropped.
Yeah. So.
Yeah, and it looked like that was maybe a secret door that was left open as they were hastily leaving. I think was that kind of threshold or pathway that we saw.
Yeah, no, for sure. And Otto and Alicent then chat after that.
They have these nightly fireside chats.
They do, and it's good. It's honestly, it's the closest they've been the entire show is right now, and it's honestly her son's sort of kind of stupidity, and I would say, for lack of a better word, their greenness when it comes to war and like waging war. Alicent and Otto both are very nervous, I think. It's starting to become almost desperate. Mm-hmm. And they're discussing Jaehaerys' death, and Alicent, I think, doesn't even really care. She feels worse for Helena, essentially.
Yeah, Alicent, we'll discuss this a little bit more. Alicent, I always thought prior to this episode was a very like loving, caring mother. And,
Same.
And here, this episode, I didn't really get that vibe from her. But Otto's whole agenda here is just, we have to pace ourselves. We can't just rush into war. We have to kind of use this to our advantage. He talks about, using Jaehaerys' death to like push a propaganda war against Rhaenyra, and actually that plays out pretty well as we'll see later on. But yeah, this is kind of you see the old guard versus the new guard with Aegon raging and Aemond actively trying to find stuff out, versus Otto and Alicent sneakily planning stuff.
Well, and Alicent I think also feels guilty for the death of the child a little bit because the Kingsguard was distracted. Some were asleep, some were guarding the king, others were balls deep in the queen. It's
who knows?
Who knows? And honestly, too, like that. If technically Kristen isn't he technically sworn to the queen, to Alicent? So he technically didn't really do anything wrong. So
that's yeah. I guess that's one way to look at it for sure.
Yeah,
spin zone.
I got your back, Kristen. We're boys for life. Aegon freaks out on the small council.
He actually asked.
He does question Kristen Cole. Yeah, he does.
And he didn't lie. He asked Kristen Cole where he was. Kristen goes, "I was in bed."
Yeah, and then he looked at Alicent and he winked. He didn't, but that would have been great because that would have been a sitcom move. He would have been like, "Well, I was in bed at the time," and he's like, "Oh, you were sleeping?" He's like, "Never said I was asleep, Your Grace." And then he would look at Alicent and wink.
Laugh track in the
background. Laugh track. Definitely. And yeah, but he's pissed. I mean, Aegon is, I absolutely it's no longer about doing things right. Like he just wants to go at the blacks right now.
Oh yeah, he's blaming Rhaenyra, just saying who else would have done it but this bitch queen. He's talking about, killing. So they actually apprehended. Larys walks in and enters the small council chambers and says, "We apprehended a guard. He was known to us. He used to be with the City Watch and has been known to be brutal." And essentially Aegon just goes "Yeah, let's kill him right now."
They caught him at the gate, they said, leaving the gate, and he had the prince's head in a bag. And it's one of those situations from Cops when they search the bag and there's drugs in it. And they're like, that's not even my bag.
That's not mine.
I was just transporting this for a friend. But big tough guy Blood from last episode quickly humbled this episode. So Aegon, the trust is gone. He doesn't trust anyone on the council. He's saying, Chris said, Rhaenyra did this. She had to have. And Otto's it doesn't matter who did it. We're going to say Rhaenyra did it. We're spinning this right now.
And inwardly, Otto and Jasper Wilde are both yeah, let's interrogate him and find out who did it. But outwardly we're saying it's Rhaenyra 100%.
Oh, no matter what. That's just the smart. If tomorrow Alicent trips down the stairs, you're saying it's Rhaenyra. You know what I mean? You have to spin everything that way because they understand that houses will come to their side when they see It turns out a lot of people get pretty upset when kids get beheaded.
Yeah, and then you also have the whole family killing family situation too, which is just that's the ultimate sin within this. Yeah, kinslaying within this Westeros world. So.
Otto and the Raven is and it's also rumored that he kicked his dog. And all the everyone's oh, that's the line right there.
That don't get the people rioting in Dragonstone even.
Yeah, and Dragon, they turn on Rhaenyra. We get a quick cut to Helena. She's like struggling.
Yeah, you feel bad for Helena throughout this whole thing, and Allison already mentioned it that she felt bad for her, but Helena's the real innocent throughout all this, and she doesn't want to do this funeral procession that Otto and Allison are putting her up to.
I hate funerals.
Yeah, same. Imagine having to do it in front of like everyone
as a public figure, and you have to be paraded around while people throw things at you. And they're not like throwing like it's not like they're like egging them. They're throwing like flowers and shit. And I'd be like, I'm allergic.
And then one thing at that small council meeting before we moved on that was pretty important, I think. Otto and Aegon were kind of going back and forth, and Aegon goes, "I will not be seen as weak." And Otto goes, "You already are seen as weak."
Otto gave him the business.
And Aegon just kind of took it, interesting.
Yeah, those two were going at it this episode. Otto had a fucking fire episode. And you know what? All you pieces of shit, I'm sorry, this is way too aggressive, but people talking shit about Otto online, where are you now? When you see the fire in his loins, he had to come up with a century this episode. All you guys talking all that smack about Otto.
He literally lost his job.
Dude, let me tell you something. Speaking truth to power sometimes requires one to make some sacrifices, and he did. And
again, you're with the spin zones today.
They honestly very similar. I'm going to compare this to the Lakers head coaching search, where Aegon fired a guy who I think was maybe not the best coach, but wasn't really given a fair shake, and now he's hiring his buddy. The Lakers hired LeBron's buddy JJ Redick. They got a podcast together.
Buddy.
I know.
Dude, that could be us.
NBA teams, where you at?
Listen, I used to coach football. Let's go.
I know a lot about basketball. You got to shoot and score. I'd be like, do the play that scores. Do that. Run that play.
Box out.
Box out. Get to crash the boards. But yeah, so that Otto though had to come up a century this episode. Aegon was the king of episode 1. Otto's ruling episode 2. The Greens are up.
I do think it's worth kind of focusing on the propaganda play here, because up to this point, you have like two pretty to the small folks' minds, right? Like they weren't in the small council chambers, they weren't behind closed doors with Viserys telling about his prophecy and all this. Like to their minds, it's two people who are fighting over the same claim. Who one's a woman, so that kind of like in this world
it matters.
I
think honestly, to some it matters in this world.
That's true. And then in the other hand, like the other one's a younger one from a different wife and all this. So up until this point, it was two pretty even claims, I think, for the small folk. And now this propaganda play by Otto and team is really moving everyone over to the green side, I think. And it's a great move, great strategy.
It is a good strategy. And honestly, like, it's terrible to say, but Otto obviously finds a silver lining in every situation, and he does so in the death of young Prince Jaehaerys, and he's like, I loved my grandson. It's like, Otto, you never interacted with it. You didn't even, you couldn't pick him out of a fucking lineup. Larys has blood in a little cage, like a rat in a trap, for lack of a better phrase, and he's going to torture him. He's got all these little utensils and tools, and he's going to get up in his giblets a little bit. But, Larys was about to spit on that thing. We had to do it once. We've met our quota, and now we're done with the Hawk Tuas. Maybe.
Maybe.
We'll see.
It's in the arsenal.
It's in the arsenal.
We got the episode. We got one episode.
One whole episode of Hawk Tuin, and then we're done with it. And honestly, when he came in with those tools, you know what Blood did? He was like, oh, no. Yeah. We're going to knock all the memes out tonight. No. But he didn't even need to torture him. Blood was like, listen, I got all the receipts.
Dude, he folded so fast. He snitched. In the hood, people hate Blood in the hood.
Yeah, Larys came in and he had like a whole meal, and Cheese walks past the cell and he sees Blood eating food. He's like, oh fuck,
man, I'm done.
He's squealed. But it very much was tense, because I'm not a big those kinds of scenes. I'm not scary movies. I'm good with them, but scenes like that, someone's chained up and a dude like Larys is standing next to you with a bag full of little gadgets and gadgets.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I'm not into that.
And they start ripping fingernails off and stuff like that. I thought we were due for a full torture scene, which I'm glad we didn't get.
Me too.
Aegon walked in and just started clubbing him, which I'd rather take over a torture scene, honestly.
Me too. If you're gonna go in this world, a quick one I think is better than Like, I actually was rewatching some of season 8, and like when Varys gets executed, he gets like the dragon blast from like close range. I was like, you probably disintegrate so quick.
Oh yeah.
That it's like, who cares?
He probably didn't feel it. He was
He's
vibing.
No, and honestly, that script was so bad that the actor was probably relieved. He's like, get me the fuck out of here. The funeral stalls. Helaena has a panic attack. I don't know what the point of the stall scene was.
Yeah, I mean, I think maybe it was just kind of microscope on Helaena, right? Like, how's she feeling throughout all this? Because it's easy to lose her kind of mind track as you have these two great houses going to war.
Yeah.
And then, like, just them showing Jaehaerys with his head sewn on was, like, that kind of put me on edge. I thought, like, once they hit that...
Yeah, you thought it was going to fall.
I thought his head was going to pop off.
Which, another sitcom moment. The small folk are trying to pick it up, but they keep booting it around. And it's like they're all doing the heads like this direction, that direction. The head's like,
heads rolling.
Yeah. But also people are screaming like Rhaenyra the Monstrous, which is important to note. Like Chris said, the small folk have... If she ever had them in King's Landing, because I don't think the small folk tend to care too much.
So
the Realm's Delight.
The Realm's Delight, yeah. And you know, these kind of monikers matter, right? If you turn from the Realm's Delight to Rhaenyra the Monstrous... like that, those things travel, right?
100%. Actually, speaking of Rhaenyra, we then skip over to Dragonstone, across the bay there, and Rhaenyra is appalled. She's like, I have no beef with Helaena. She's like, I would never order the hit on a child. And there's this great, it's kind of hilarious. Everyone's sort of looking around.
Like, who would do this?
Yeah, literally Rhaenyra is saying, like, who would do this? And Rhaenys and all of, like, the dudes at the table sort of just look at Daemon. And Daemon's, like, looking down, and he notices they're all looking at him. And he kind of, like, looks around the table. And he, like, isn't denying anything. Like, he's just kind of looking like, yeah, you're right. You're right.
That was fantastic. He knew he did it. He knew everyone knew that he did it.
He did a full Urkel. He's like, did I do that?
It took Rhaenyra a while to figure it out, but like everyone else was kind of like, "Hey, listen."
Yeah." And then there's a quick cut, and they're all out of the room, but Rhaenyra and Daemon.
Mm-hmm. And this was a very, very intense scene. We find out a lot about what Rhaenyra and Daemon actually thought about each other this whole time, and turns out Rhaenyra never trusted Daemon, or so she says.
Oh yeah.
She always thought that Daemon was after her throne.
Oh yeah.
After her father's throne, even they talk about Viserys a lot. Daemon basically says like, no, I'm loyal to you, but like your father only named you the heir because he was afraid of me. And Rhaenyra was like, no, he wasn't afraid of you. He didn't fucking trust you either.
Well, when she first says like, I don't trust you, he like slaps the table and she does like a little jump back and he like flips something. Mm-hmm. And then he sort of gets in her grill a little bit and she's like, you didn't do this for me because I said I wanted Aemon. Like you sought your own revenge. And he even says something like, she's like, will you accept me as your queen? And he kind of like doesn't say anything, but does say like, just remember Viserys named you his heir to spite me. Not because he thought you were like some great... He kind of like alludes to the fact that she was like younger. He's like, you had great wisdom. Yeah, mm-hmm. Like, you know.
And in response, something he said too was he just starts talking about these accolades that he's done for him. And he's like, am I not heading to Harrenhal now for your claim? And like, blah, blah. Which I think shows, like, that's kind of like Daemon's love language, right? Like, he wants to act to do stuff. That's why he murdered Jaehaerys.
Yeah, right? My love language is revenge. Yeah, that's good.
My love language is murdering children.
For you. Yeah, weird Valentine's Day in that house. He's like, guess what I got you? It's a head. Yeah, he's, you know.
Of a child.
He's like, yeah, fucking Amazon, a.k.a. Blood, said it's not getting delivered because they couldn't get past the gates. Baela visits Rhaenyra, and Rhaenyra asks Baela to just like watch King's Landing on Moondancer, her dragon. But she said, she's like, be far away, like be ready to flee, kind of thing. Like we're starting to see that the girls are almost closer to Rhaenyra than they are to Daemon, because even Baela throws some shade at Daemon and is like, I hate him sometimes. In a scene later with Jace. Yeah,
and I like that Baela is starting to become an important character here. It'll be interesting to see how her scouting of King's Landing ends up. It might put her in some precarious situations.
Yeah, probably not good.
And we see in the trailers for the next episode that she's doing some sort of flying.
Hey, I like that they're scouting again. Because remember in the days of Game of Thrones when they would scout, and then Game of Thrones season 5 through 8, they stopped. They were like, we don't need to do this anymore. We got the lay of the land.
Oh yeah.
Yeah,
and then they just show up places.
They kind of forget about things. Yeah, in the Iron Fleet. Helaena sees Aegon, or before that, Daemon takes off on Caraxes. He's going to I believe Harrenhal, right? The
He's
Riverlands.
heading to Harrenhal finally. He's been talking about it for the past 2.5 episodes.
For the past 2.5 episodes, 3.5. Yeah, 2.5. You go back to season 10.
Yeah.
Or season 1, episode 10. Mm-hmm. So for 3 years, technically, in our time, he's been talking about Harrenhal.
Damn. Yeah, since 2021.
This guy's wanted to go to Harrenhal for a long time. I'm really excited for him.
It better be a freaking blast at Harrenhal.
Yeah. Oh God. Can you imagine if it doesn't live up to his expectations? There's nothing worse than when something doesn't live up to your expectations.
I mean, you've been planning a trip for 3 years,
and then you go and it just doesn't.
It's like Firefest. Like there's.
Dude, you go Blink 182 cancels. Next thing you know, all they have are cheese sandwiches.
And you're just in, like, hostage tents.
Yeah, you're in the those, like, FEMA hurricane tents. Yeah. People are stealing beds, and you're just like, what is this? Yeah, that's probably the vibe.
You got Andy King offering to suck dicks for water.
So I guess it's not a total loss. And then there's a scene where Aegon's walking, like, from killing blood, and Helena's walking from the funeral. They pass each other. No love there at all. Like, she even kind of stops. Like, she almost looks like she wants a hug from Aegon.
She really did. And, I mean, I'm not going to harp on it forever, but, like, I do want to see a world in which Helena, like, gets a hug or, like, gets some love a little bit. Because she seems like a really sweet soul, you know?
The guy to ask would be Kristen.
No, not that kind of love.
He'll give her, yeah. All right. Kristen sort of ponders his own absence in Blood and Cheese. We're going to see this a lot. Nothing too major there, but he's going to keep pondering.
But then, like, within the pondering, he just decides, like, yeah, I'm going to flip this on Arik.
Yeah, Kristen ponders his role in Blood and Cheese, and his conclusion was, not at fault.
he's like, wait, where the fuck was this twin dude at?
Yeah, we all have those moments where we're like, I was sort of involved, but not really. Not enough for culpability. Not in stuff like this, but just in life where you're kind of like, that wasn't my best effort here. But you flip it and reverse it in your mind.
Thanks for specifying that you weren't previously involved with the murder of it.
Yeah, no, of course not. Good. But technically in this case, I'm referring to the absence of defending someone from a murder, which I've never been involved in either. So I'm innocent on all charges.
So he does flip it and reverse it on Arik. Arik is obviously confused, but Kristen Cole walks up under the pretext of Arik having a dirty cloak, and he's like, this white cloak symbolizes our purity. As his, like, pee-pee still probably smells like Alicent. And Arik's like, what's your deal, man? Like, it's not that serious. And
I thought it was weird that Arik said that to him, too. He's like, your dick smells like Alicent.
And then they just, like, have a back and forth. Arik saying, I'm not guilty. He even questions Kristen, like, where were you during all this?
Well, in this, it was a little heavy. I felt like the symbolism of Kristen going up to him and being like, you're dirty, your cloak, when our charge is to be, like, we are, you sully what we stand for. And it's his own guilt, because he's sullied. He's getting sullied twice daily by the queen.
Absolutely. And I think this might go to show, what Kristen Cole's impending power trip's going to be like, and we'll talk about his appointment to the Hand of the King later, but this is a good I think test of his personality and how he might pan out for the rest of the season.
I would agree with you. And also we have a quick cut of Rhaenyra with her children, the blonde children, the blondes. Joffrey's not there. Jace is doing his own thing. She's with her 2 children by Daemon, which is Aegon the Younger. I know she's got an Aegon, it's the name. There's Aegon the Bad Aegon for you guys, these Team Greens, but then she has her son, Aegon the Younger, and Viserys.
And they're just
playing.
They're cute. They're just hanging out.
It's the symbolism there is her probably realizing now that all of their lives are in fucking danger. Like, the brutality is shown to Prince Jaehaerys, who is really an innocent in all this, but also the direct heir to the throne, so it is a significant all-around.
Yeah, and they're all in danger. Arik literally gets employed by Kristen Cole to go kill Rhaenyra.
Yeah, that was a great scene. Kristen basically was like, go do this if you want to earn back my respect. And Arik's just kind of like, he even questioned it. He's like, I'm never going to be able to do this. The castle's guarded. Like, he's like, just pretend to be your twin. They're pulling, this honestly could be like a Mary-Kate and Ashley movie. They used to get into hijinks like this all the time. They would switch places and stuff. Like It Takes Two.
Like Tia and Tamara too.
Yeah, oh yeah. Sister.
Oh yeah.
Brother. You don't know how much I missed you. Oh yeah, I knew that whole thing. I used to fucks with that.
But then, like, Kristen Cole just literally goes back on what he was just talking about this honor and purity of the oath that they took, and now you're saying go sneak around and murder someone in their bedchambers.
Listen, he's not the most consistent Cole. he's not doing too hot with the consistency. He is like I think he's honestly a mess. And the character is great. Like there are people, there's dudes just like, obviously he's in this fantasy world of king making, but there are guys like that who, if you say the sky is blue, they're like, no, it's not.
Oh yeah, he definitely listens to a lot of opinionated podcasts.
For sure, he's a very opinionated guy, and he does not do a lot of research.
No. And he listens to Alex Jones.
He's one of those dudes who's confidently very wrong a lot. And I love confidently wrong is one of my favorite things. You just got to sit there and nod your head and not interact with those folks. Because they're confidently wrong also tend to be aggressively mean.
Oh yeah. They don't back down. Like, they never back down.
Like, I don't give a fuck what Google says.
But I do think the actor is doing a great job at making us hate Kristen Cole, or at least dislike him.
No, I agree, and the acting impeccable. Like in House of the Dragon, the acting has been sublime, and so no beef there. We can argue about pacing. This episode wasn't my favorite paced wise. Felt like they jammed a lot in there, but
and a lot of jumping back and forth.
A lot of jumping, and no hopping across the narrow sea. So demerits for that. Jason Baylor chat about Daemon. Baylor's not a huge fan, and then we have Aemon at a brothel.
Yeah, this was very interesting. So apparently Aemon has like a mommy complex.
This is the same brothel lady he saw in season 1 when they were looking for Aegon in episode 8 when he was missing, and she goes, "My, you've grown." And not much though. He's a very slight fellow.
Yeah, he looked very sick.
He's just a skinny guy. And
he needs to keep close on.
You could say what you want about Matt Smith. I think he's a taller dude and a little thicker. So Aemon talks a lot of shit, but I feel like in just a straight up fist fight, Daemon would work him. Yeah,
he's a little boy cuddling up, but he has Vhagar, so
that's true. And what you don't see is that Vhagar's also cuddling in that scene.
But he reveals that his intention was not to kill Luke, and that he actually feels sorry for it.
Yeah, and she said that's good.
Yeah,
but she's also being paid, so she's gonna say whatever it is he wants to hear. Technically,
he also said that he was proud that he wasn't there the night of the murder, but that they weren't aiming for him.
He did, yeah. He got off a little bit from the fact that he was the hit. He's like, "I'm glad they're thinking about me," which, let's be honest, like there was something a little flattering about that. Like, it's just nice when people are thinking about you.
Yeah, but he made it like, they're after me because I'm big head honcho, but they were actually just after him because he was the one who killed Luke.
Well, again, you got to flip things and reverse them sometimes to make yourself feel better. The reality of the situation isn't always as flattering as what we perceive it to be. Mm-hmm. And yeah, it genuinely was just a straight son for a son thing, and like he was the one that killed Luke, so it's a direct. That is true.
Yeah.
He couldn't. He's like, they want me because I'm a big deal. They're like, no, it's like you did it.
What if the lady said that? It's like, well, wait, didn't you just say you?
Yeah, I don't think that would have been a smart thing for her to do. I don't. What else do we got here? Hugh Hammer. We got a little Hugh Hammer scene.
We roll into Hugh Hammer's crib, and he's got a wife and a sick kid. Some cool dialogue here. They're talking about the impact of King's Landing's blockade.
The economy's in shambles.
I mean, inflation. It's like, are we in Westeros or are we in the United States?
Come on. You guys come here for your timely. But it's also topical, and it's important.
And this scene makes Hugh Hammer a very empathetic character, or sympathetic character. So we'll see how that pans out. I wasn't really a fan of Hugh in the last scene in the last episode. Yeah. I thought that he was just kind of conning the king and asking for payment up front, but it seems like they actually are hurting. So
I'll be on and then we also have an Alan and Adam of Hull scene.
Yeah, we do.
And I think that the new character introductions are, I don't know. I feel like it's like they're fine. Are they handled the best? I think it's very similar to season 1 for me, where it's like a lot of these secondary characters aren't going to have the same weight that they did in like a Game of Thrones situation.
Yeah, and they don't really weave into the main storyline.
Not yet.
Either.
Yeah.
Not yet. Yeah.
And it's tough because technically in Game of Thrones, like, it's such a fleshed out world, and you're hearing thoughts of Tyrion, you're hearing thoughts of these characters, whereas with these guys in a history book, they kind of just appear. So it's the show's job to introduce them as they do. It's just the nature of the world we live in right now with the series. And it's not, I think when you look at it that way, it's easier to accept it and be like, all right, cool. But if it's when people say like this isn't like Game of Thrones, I was like, well, it was never gonna be.
Yeah, well, not many things are like Game of Thrones, honestly.
I'm very similar to Game of Thrones. I start off real strong and finish pretty bad.
But I mean, hey, you last 8 seasons though, so that's
but the ending's rushed. Yeah, so we get that chit chat. Not much there, except they're just kind of like, listen, war is not going to be good, and I'm like, you guys nailed it.
And then we have Rhaenys and Corlys chatting and cuddling up. Again, not too much there. They're talking about Daemon. They don't really trust Daemon, but I think they're kind of on the right track with him going to Harrenhal is going to be good.
Yeah, that's really it. It's kind of just a filler scene just to be like, they're still here. Mm-hmm. And then Rhaenyra, this was one of my favorite scenes of the episode. Rhaenyra questions Mysaria, and let me tell you something. Emma D'Arcy's blue eyes were piercing. She was looking her up and down, she was trying to see what the white worm was all about. I was so into it.
I'm very... Why is it that Rhaenyra and Daemon treat Mysaria like she's not... Like, okay, hear me out. If anyone else were to, like, betray them and, like, sell them out to Otto and help, like, Aegon take the throne, I feel like they would treat them a lot harsher than they do Mysaria.
I think... Can I say my perception as to why they don't? Is because they don't really have anyone with any kind of connection to any spy network inside King's Landing. So they probably, and even though Mysaria, and I don't care what anyone says, she's toned down her accent this season, and I guarantee, no, I'm not even kidding, I bet you they told her to, because season 1, she got crucified for her accent. It's not as bad now. Sometimes she just sounds American. But I think that they're going to try to like utilize her spy network to see if she still has any kind of weavings, which she technically kind of still does because the blood and cheese thing,
Yeah, she 100% does.
So I think that's why. I think they're like, well, if we can get anything out of her, let's see. And Rhaenyra then realizing also that, this is the girl that Daemon said she was going to marry. And when she was staring at her, I swear to God, I was so into it.
But it was a great scene, and you can tell Rhaenyra is like fully back now, right? Like she mourned Luke, and now she's starting to rule and make decisions.
Well, she went toe to toe with Daemon too in that scene. Like she didn't back down, and she is making her own decisions. She's standing on her own 2 feet. She's not like she doesn't need Daemon to talk to Mysaria. She can do it, and she also sort of is like, all right, let me use you to my advantage.
Mm-hmm. So that's pretty much all that was there. We have a quick flash of Adam of Hull seeing a dragon flying by, assuming that's sea smoke.
Yeah, assuming that's sea smoke. It's got the same sort of gray look that sea smoke had.
Who, of course, is Rhaenor Valerian's former dragon.
Correct. And we saw him utilized in the battle against the crab feeder and the triarchy there. Not much there. Just setting up a potential love interest of Adam. I think he's going to ask Sea Smoke out on a date.
And Rhaenor has been kind of in the shadows of this episode because he was brought up between Bela and Jace's conversation earlier at Dragonstone too.
Yeah.
So maybe they're planting some Rhaenor returns seeds later on.
Maybe. We'll see. Keep that on your big board. We go to King's Landing and all rat catchers are hanging outside the Red Keep.
Scores of them, and
the right one, the one that did it.
Oh yeah, the what's his name? Cheese did get caught for sure.
Cheese, yep.
He didn't get away. But I do like in this episode that they focus a little bit on these small folk and what their reactions are, and you really humanize all these people who were just scurrying around in the background. Like these people did have families. These people did have people that cared about them, and they're curious, right? Like they're not just dumb; they were asking questions, like "How did this happen?"
Oh yeah,
blah blah. So it is cool to kind of see that.
And all those rat catchers have family. The family is outside mourning, and it absolutely pisses Otto off. Otto like kicks the door down. He's like, "Aegon, you fuck." He's like, "What was it?" He honestly calls him a bunch of names in the scene. He's like, "Why would you do this?" He's like, "Rhaenyra just handed us a gift, and you shit all over it." Essentially,
I mean his adjective usage here, he called Aegon ill-considering, trifling, impetuous, feckless, like all these. He was busting all the words out.
Dude, Otto's got that. He paid attention during vocab class. He's got that good vocab, and he's busting them all out on Aegon. You love to see it, quite frankly, because Aegon, this was a rash decision.
It was. If Kristen Cole's standing in the back trying to be a hard ass, he tries to check Otto. Otto's like, dude, shut the fuck up. Like,
yeah, he does kind of tell Otto to shut up. He's like, he tells Kristen to shut up. He's like, Aegon's my grandson. You shut the fuck up.
Yeah. And then Aegon just decides then and there, like, I'm looking for action. I'm not like I'm new guard. I'm not with this. Wait and see what happens with the great houses.
Yeah.
Kristen Cole already took action. Otto's like, wait, this guy took action? Like, what action did he take? And he revealed the whole send Sir Arik to Dragonstone.
Sir Arik. Yeah.
And Otto is just like, that's the stupidest freaking plan of all time.
He's like, I hate that. I hate you. He's like, think of your father. And then Aegon says something about Viserys, like, and then Otto essentially says, like, yeah, I miss Viserys. Like, he was a better king than you. And then Aegon's like, he made me king. And Otto laughs.
He's like, Otto's like, I think that?
Yeah. Otto didn't say it, but essentially he's laughing because he made him king. Yeah. Otto made Aegon king.
Aegon said, like, my father's dead, and Otto goes, and we're the poorer for it.
Yeah, and it's true. I mean, obviously, because there'd be no civil war right now. But also, he was going to die eventually, and his own weakness is the reason this is happening.
And Otto gets fired. He gets the axe this scene.
Yeah. Still, and it's
3 kings. Well, 2.5 because he, got fired on this one.
He technically was fired by Viserys too.
Yeah, but he came back.
Hey, you know what? That's what I'm saying. You never know.
Well,
keep it.
Okay, 2.25.
He's a squirrely fella. He's a squirrely fella. And Otto, you know what Otto does when he gets fired? He takes it, he uses it, and then he rolls it into more success.
It's true, so far.
Yeah, so far, and I think it's going to continue. Rhaenyra lets Mysaria go.
Well, before that, Kristen Cole is named Hand of the King here.
Yeah, Kristen Cole's named Hand of the King. At first, he seems he has a little trepidation, but then Kristen Cole is going to be like, oh, well, you're the fucking bomb, Kristen. Of course you're Hand of the King.
This was interesting to see played out on screen because in the books, it almost seemed like, the Aemon and Aegon had been planning to put Kristen Cole as Hand of the King for a little while. And here it looked like it was an impulse decision by Aegon. And Kristen was like shocked by it.
He was very shocked, but I think like we've talked about, he's the kind of guy who's gonna really power trip with it.
Oh yeah,
he's gonna be like, okay, it's time for me to absolutely rule. Like he's gonna like to him, this will be like he in his own mind he'll be like, I'm like basically the king now,
Oh yeah,
for sure. And like we see it kind of at the end, him get a little. We'll talk about it, but he sort of is. This is going to straight to his head, both of them. Rhaenyra lets Mysaria go. She's like, I'm a queen of my word. If my house made a promise to you, here it is. And we can tell that there's a respect between these two now.
Yeah, and like you were saying, there is a self-interest in her doing that.
For sure. And I think it's going to pay off for her. And as Mysaria is leaving, she sees Sir Arik sneaking in. Mm-hmm. And she says, like, hold up. Like, she's gonna like run back. We don't see her again, but
she says, hold up.
Yeah, so we are under the impression that she's gonna run back and try to assist to some degree, but we don't see it. And
yeah, I'm sure next episode they'll have to address what happened there.
100%. Rhaenyra's getting ready for bed, like she's just getting all cozy.
And before you continue on that narrative, Arik Cargill, A is for Aegon's side, the Greens, Arik. And then Eric is the Black's King's Guardman. So continue on the narrative.
No, for sure. So for Rhaenyra's side, the bad one sneaks in. He's going to pose to try to assassinate Rhaenyra. And we see him sneaking around the Dragonstone castle. Probably has no clue where he's going, but then he sees his brother, so he's kind of like, all right, I'll tail him a little bit. Rhaenyra's getting ready for bed. She's getting her hair done. She's in a beautiful gown. She's looking great. Feet out. We noticed. Noticed. Chris mentioned it.
What do you mean we noticed?
Chris mentioned it. He's like, yo, check it out. Feet out.
I was not looking at Virginia.
You literally did. Okay. He said that, and I remembered being appalled. I was like, this scene, I'm emotionally invested in the fact that she might get assassinated right now. At least that's how I remember it. Is that not how that went down? Was it me? Did I say something?
Because I'm pretty sure I was just like, oh my God, we're going to get the Cargill ball this whole time.
And I was like, oh, check it out. I'll rewatch tomorrow to even see if it's true that they were out. I'll make sure to rewatch. I'll rewatch.
Okay.
I'll rewatch it.
Yeah, do your due diligence.
Yeah, I'll rewatch it. I'm gonna rewatch it. This is a terrible thing that I do for the sake of this podcast. That this is my persona with people.
Dude, it seems natural. It seems all too natural.
Well, I appreciate that. I'm a method actor. I'm like Daniel Day-Lewis.
We're like Joaquin Phoenix. I'm
like Joaquin Phoenix out here. I'm like, oh yeah, like when we're watching, I'm like really into my role. The Cargill Bowl happens. It's really intense. Arik walks in on Rhaenyra sleeping, and he pulls his sword, and Rhaenyra realizes, she's like, Eric, what the fuck are you doing? And she realizes, like, oh no, this is real. And then she's like, go get Sir Laurent, and the one girl runs out, and before he can get to Rhaenyra, Eric comes in, and he goes, brother, I beg you don't. And then then it's on like Donkey Kong.
And then you can't tell who's who. They're wearing the same exact thing. They look exactly the same. But this was a great scene, I think, in the sense that when you have like two fully armored people fighting close range in a chamber like that, or like any sort of close range, like that's what it's going to look like. It's not a well choreographed dance of swords. Like you're brawling essentially.
Yeah.
And if you want to see like another example of that, a good one is The Duel with. It was like a medieval movie. I'm forgetting the actors that were in it, but check it out.
No, I've never seen it.
Yeah.
I'll have to check it out.
Or The Last Duel. The Last Duel. Yeah.
I'll check that out.
Very great, very good movie. But anyways, brawling, dirty, like you're like going
punching
in creaks of armor, trying to figure out like where weak points are. So it was very brutal. And then all of a sudden, Laurent Marbrand rolls in, and he's even like, who's
asking Rhaenyra who's who. She doesn't know, but she's behind him. He's got no armor on. He's just in his skivvies. Rhaenyra, again, she's not wearing shoes. So they're fighting it, and then Eric kills Arik, who's the bad one, and then he gets up, he's bloody, and he's just destroyed from the fact that he killed his brother, and he goes like, Your Grace, I'm sorry, and she's like, no, and he falls on his own sword.
Mm-hmm. Just a stand-up guy, high character, loyal to the end, served his queen, kept his oath, even loved his brother so much that he would kill himself. Arik, on the other hand, absolute scumbag. How do you go in and try to kill your own brother like that?
He didn't. He tried to kill the queen, and then he got involved.
But then he tried to kill his brother.
I mean, that's the thing, man. You get involved like that, don't get involved. Mind your business. Stay out of it. Don't get involved. Arik obviously was sort of gaslit by Kristen. Again, the Greens are really good at gaslighting. And just sort of, he thought it was for his honor, so he went, tried to do it. Didn't succeed, and you're right, obviously. But technically, Eric killed Arik, so he's the one that killed his brother.
Yeah, but he had to do it, and he felt so bad about it that he then killed himself, even though
felt like he had to do it.
No, he didn't.
Yeah, well, Kristen gaslit him. He's like, "You got to go do this," but Arik at first was like, "I don't know about that."
Yeah,
he brought it up. Yeah, it's a wash.
Like when Kristen was like, "Yeah, what if I start like questioning you in front of the king?" If I was Arik, I would have just been like, "Yeah, let's do it." I was with him. I was right next to Burrow.
Yeah, that's true.
Where were you at, my dude?
Yeah, Kristen was technically banging the queen's mother while her kids were being attacked by blood and cheese. That's fair.
Arik, yeah, you screwed it, man.
Yeah. Well, R.I.P. to Arik. Eric, see you in hell. We got Otto and Alicent are hanging out. They're having a good chat. Otto's like, I'm fired. I'm not really needed here. I'm fired.
Yeah, that's a tough dude. Like
that's a tough combo.
I mean, my daughter's not even a year old yet, but luckily I haven't had to have that conversation with her yet. But that's got to be a tough one, walking in to tell your daughter you got fired.
Yeah, and especially when it's the family business. That's even tougher when you're like, by the way, it was your son who did it. I'm gonna can I get on the Cobra life insurance or health insurance? And but he says to her, he's like, I'm needed at Old Town where I can at least do some stuff and amass the strength. And he's like, and maybe your son Darren, which we fucking reacted so hyped.
Oh yeah, we got a Darren reveal. 1 second. That Cobra insurance joke was very good.
Thank you, I appreciate that.
When you go back and watch rewind the YouTube, you notice me catch that about like 5 seconds late.
Well, you get on that Cobra. You gotta get on the Cobra. I know a lot about it. in healthcare type stuff. But yeah.
But yeah, so Darren reveal. So we were concerned about Darren last season. We didn't see him.
We were.
In the books, he plays a pretty prominent role later on, so we just didn't know what his deal was, and we got some confirmation that he's.
I love that he's in the show.
Town.
I love that he's going to be in the show. It's the right move because he's very significant. I would, if I'm a person who hasn't read the books, I'm probably thinking, what the fuck are you talking about? It's not the best. Like, it's not the best move to do it that way.
No.
Like, there's no, you don't even show him. Like, he's not even like, you're not even like Alicent give her a bump in like the episode 6 or something. You know what I mean?
And that's one thing, we talk about the difference between Game of Thrones and House of the Dragon.
Pacing, yeah.
In Game of Thrones, like, you would have a whole Darren in Old Town storyline, right? And then they would eventually come together when Darren is involved in the rest of the House of the Dragon storyline. In this, because it's so, minuscule and, like, granular, you don't really get that. And what, we're looking at 4 seasons?
Yeah, 4 to 5, most likely. I would guess 4.
So, you can't really do a whole different storyline in a different city.
And that's the thing, too, is, like, if they didn't introduce Darren, it sort of throws off the rest of the story, so they had to. So I always felt confident. Even Ryan Condal, when asked, would just say, stay tuned.
Yeah.
But you don't even need to do the storyline. Just have, in episode 7, have Otto be like, and Darren's training is going good.
Yeah.
That's all you got to do.
Going well, probably.
Yeah. Oh, sure. Okay. Come on.
We were just talking about Otto's words. And we're quoting
Otto would be like, Darren's training is going splendiferous. Because he's got that big vocab.
Yeah.
And then Alicent finds Aegon crying. And she pulls a whole... She's like, you know what? You're probably fine, fam. You're good. And she just backs out slowly.
Just walks in, walks straight out.
Not a good mom. Because remember, in season 1, she walked in on him slapping his ham outside the window. And she's like, we got to talk. And she, like, bodies him up. It's like, that's when you walk out of the room slowly.
That's true.
When he's bawling his eyes out is when you probably go up to him and you're like, hey, buddy, what's wrong? Yeah, you don't need some family time?
Yeah, I think we're starting to see Alicent resenting Aegon for ruining her relationship with Rhaenyra.
She's going to start I think she genuinely dislikes both of her sons.
But it's all her fault.
Yeah.
So, like, I hate that she's, like, trying to play this victim. Like, you put your sons in this position. Like, I know, like, through Otto, like, whatever. But, like, you're not innocent in all this. And you're still smanging Chris and Cole. So, like, screw you for that, too. Like,
Yeah,
that's
honestly,
your son's homies.
The Suns are doing great right now. Like, yeah, the Jaehaerys thing was a loss, but sort of similar to Luke. You give it a couple days and then it's done.
Just an L.
Aemond, I don't get what he's crying about. Like, just be the psycho you want to be. Don't act tough and then be crying to your lady of the night. Be tough. Be like, yeah, I killed Luke. And I'd do it again.
Yeah, you think Damon's out here crying?
No, Daemon right now is like, he's like, fine. He's kind of pouting a little bit. Actually, the more I think about it, he's kind of
he's more angrily pouting. He's not cuddling up with a mommy.
Yeah, that's true. He's a very weird situation there. I have a lot of questions, and I don't think I'm going to get the answers. And the final scene we see is, again, Alicent and Kristen Cole getting it on. She slaps him, but then he sort of like... passionately, and it's not forced. I don't know if we can say this is like a forceful, like, I think Alicent's into it as well, but he sort of is taking charge now. Maybe it's like a symbolism of him being handed a king, that renewed confidence. So he sort of pushes her against the wall, and then they do like that passionate thing.
Yeah, I don't have anything to add there.
Me neither. We get it, guys. You like to hook up.
Friend of the pod, Brett, hated that ending. I'm pretty sure he called it lame AF via text.
He's our legal counsel.
Yeah,
and also, I would. My mom also hated it. She she's like, I wish Alicent... Well, no, my mom actually loved the episode.
Okay.
But she thinks that Alicent should have been like, Cole, go fuck yourself. And maybe that's what he's doing. Maybe that's what he's saying, too. I'm not sure. He actually just texted us. I'm going to see. He said, yeah. But he agrees, though, that, the ending could have been better. And I do as well.
Well, with that, what do you rate this episode?
I give it a 6.01.
Okay. Specific on the 01?
Yeah, because it's not really a 6. It's higher than a 6. I actually really liked the episode. But hear me out. The start was strong. The middle slowed down too much for me. I actually really liked the ending. I liked the Cargill Bowl. It was, as Brett just texted, it was tragic. It was emotional, There's just some stuff around there in the character development that it's like, the main characters are developed awesomely. But it's like, I want to care about the holes. I want to care about Hugh Hammer. It's tough to. But at the same time, like, we will. But that's it.
Yeah, okay. I see where you're going with that one. I suffer from fan of the book syndrome here because, like, when I see a Cargill Bull that I've been reading about for the past couple of years, or hear the Daring's back, or, you know, see how Kristen Cole actually ended up becoming Hand of the King and it wasn't like a plot to get rid of Otto, like, that type of stuff, I'm like, okay, this is rewarding for me, so I'm giving this an 8.
Gotcha.
And so I'm probably going to catch some flack for that rating.
We are here to offset each other.
Hey, you know,
yeah,
it's balance. It's all about balance.
Yeah, what'd you call it? Fan of the book disease?
Syndrome.
Oh, gotcha. They got a vaccine for that?
You know vaccine syndromes, dude. I don't know. Don't listen to it. I'm not a medic.
So. But I'm just saying, you know, fan of the book. You know, I do like the books too, and seeing the Cargill Bowl was exciting. And it was like that part of it was cool. Like that was a really well done sword fight. It was well shot, well edited. It was bright. There was no weird fucking like darkness there. Mm-hmm. The episode, like I told you at one point, like I really liked this one, but it's just the pacing of it sort of threw me off for an hour. And like one of the longer episodes we're getting this season, I felt like it was like, oh, this is it's just a lot.
I feel like as I go through on my rewatch, I'm gonna pick up on a lot of little dialogue pieces that I may have missed, whether I was doing notes or like, you know,
I might like it more.
Reacting to something. So yeah,
might like it more. Might like it less. Listen Wednesday to Deeper Thrones, where you'll hear our full opinion with some time. And you'll get some behind the scenes action there too. Because right now there's no time. Best line, yes, Queen.
My best line was Aegon to Otto when he named Kristen Cole the Hand of the King, and he says, "My new hand will be a steel fist."
Oh, I love that. And that's from the books, right?
That was in Fire and Blood, yeah.
Love that shout out there.
My yes queen was when Rhaenyra was interrogating Mysaria at Dragonstone, and Rhaenyra asked, "Who are you?" And Mysaria just goes, "A prisoner."
That's a great line.
What a smart ass.
Dude, yeah, we were like, come on, Mysaria, you know what she means. What's your fucking name? My best line was Otto to Aegon, which is, "You will have your warrior grace, but you may double your strength if you wait." That's it. And it's smart. He's right, because they were using it to his advantage, the whole Jaehaerys situation, but he doesn't wait. He does impulsive shit.
I think as time goes on, I think the big question with Otto's strategy right now is how much time do you actually have? I mean, Westeros is massive. If you're trying to get all these great houses to send their armies to support you, if Daemon and Rhaenyra are like, we're fucking attacking King's Landing or Harrenhal or whatever right now, you know, you could lose the initiative really quick.
I think that's what Aegon's worried about, too. I think there's a happy medium between the two of them. I don't think Kristen's the answer. But I think, honestly, they should give it to my boy Larys. My boy Larys should be Hand of the King.
Wow.
That's my hot take. That's my hot take. Pew, pew, pew. My Yas Queen was Blood. Are you going to hurt me? Larys, no. But I cannot speak for his grace. And then, of course, he goes Barry Bonds on him, and it's whack right to the head.
Willie Mays, R.I.P.
R.I.P. to Willie Mays. That's right. R.I.P. Probably the greatest baseball player of all time, all around. Don't forget it. Hottest moment.
You can lead us off with your hottest moment.
I'm going with Rhaenyra eyeing Mysaria. It was just like, it was a really good scene. We're seeing Rhaenyra take some control. Emma D'Arcy was just rocking it. And Mysaria was sort of like being kind of silly too, like you said, like a prisoner. It was all around just a fun scene. I liked it.
Emma has a way about kind of carrying the scene without having that many lines.
No, they're a very strong actor, and also the eyes, really piercing eyes. Yeah. And you're right, didn't even need to say anything, and they were just like controlling it. And Mysaria also toned the accent as well. She toned it down, which was huge.
My hottest moment was the Cargill Bowl, obvious one. We talked about it, but been waiting to see that one on screen for a long time.
Yeah, it was a good one. A lot better than the Clegane Bowl, that's for sure.
Mm-hmm. So next segment, Mount Rushmore.
Pets.
Mount Rushmore, greatest pets.
Pets. We're going with pets. And the reason we're doing it is because Chris came up with this, and I loved it, because last week that dog got kicked, and we did not like it.
And then it was crying. Dude, it was crying when he saw the rat catcher hung. And then, dude, like, what are we doing here?
Yeah, why do we gotta feel bad for this dog? Like, next week we're gonna see the dog like sad and like looking at Ark's body, just like, oh, he used to feed me, you know.
Like, give me I don't know. Give me the blood torturing scene over the dog crying.
I honestly would take that too. Yeah, I would take Laris absolutely just getting in that guy's guts over a sad dog any day of the week. All right, so Mount Rushmore pets. Did you go first last week for our first Mount Rushmore?
I don't remember. I think so.
All right, then I'll go first.
Okay.
All right, I'm going to go with dire wolves.
It's specific. It's a pet. You name the pet. You don't name the whole breed.
Oh, I come up with like a pet name?
No, like you could say ghost.
Oh, okay. Yeah, ghost. That's a good one.
Okay.
I'm going to go.
Okay, go. Ghost.
Gotcha. My mistake. I thought you were just talking about the species.
Oh, yeah, no.
Gotcha.
These are pets across both Game of Thrones and House of the Dragon. Mine is going to be Theon, a.k.a. Reek.
That's a good one.
Yeah.
That's a good one.
Greatest pet out there.
Greatest one. And he listens. He really does listen.
Yeah. He learned and he listens.
He learns and he listens. I'm going to go...
And he's neutered. Yeah.
Remember, guys, seriously, remember to spay and neuter your Reeks. All right? Don't forget it.
You don't want him spreading...
My second... spreading what? Them cheeks? My second pet is going to be... let me think. This is tough because I didn't think it was specific. I thought it was species, so that's even harder. I'm going to go with Drogon. That's a pet, kind of, isn't it?
That's nice. Yeah. That's a good pick.
Danny, I still think about you.
I'm going to roll with Vhagar.
Ooh, that's a better pick.
The larger dragon.
Yeah, Vhagar. Can't go wrong there.
Mm-hmm.
My third is going to be... let's see. I don't want to just do another dragon. I might go another wolf direction, and I'm going to go with... Nymeria, because she's free at the end. She's just vibing in time and space.
You dog.
And, you can take Lady if you want. That'd be a good one for you.
Ooh, R.I.P. to the realist. No, Nymeria was going to be my number 3. I'm going to roll with Caraxes, the Bloodworm, because it's just a sick nickname.
It is a sick nickname, and it's a cool dragon. It's got a long neck. My fourth will be, I'm going to go with Sunfire, because Aegon is my king. And I want to respect him. I almost was going to take Cyrax, but I was like, nah, fuck it.
Sunfire, the most beautiful dragon in the realm.
That's right.
What was Daddy's dragon that the
Viserion?
Yeah, the ice one.
Yeah, Viserion.
Yeah, I'm rolling with him.
That's a good one. Yeah. That's a good one. Viserion.
The Night King dragon.
The Night King version of it?
Yeah.
That's cool.
Yeah,
I'm talking. Ooh, I should have picked fucking whites, dude. Those are kind of like his pets.
Oh yeah, that's true. Well,
he tells them what to do.
Wait, remember when they went north of the wall to go get some White Walker pets and bring them to Cersei?
That episode is at. If you rewatch even season 6, which people loved, the writing, like you could see, they were just painting themselves into a corner. It was asinine, the shit that they were doing. But we don't need to relitigate this now. Maybe later. We should do it. We should do one of those.
In more memoriam.
In memoriam for Game of Thrones. Next segment, crown their ass. Which, if you do want to crown them, then crown their ass, is what I always say.
That's true.
I'm going to go first in this one. Mine is simple. It's Otto. I thought he had the best episode. He was bringing the heat. He was bringing the fire. He was bringing the words. So, to my lord and my favorite, Otto Hightower.
Now, if you want to crown him, then crown their ass.
I did, and I did crown his ass, Otto.
Mine's a little bit better because, Otto got fired. But mine is Eric Cargill. He, like I said, loyal to the end. The guy got put in a very vicarious, or not vicarious.
Yeah, he got fired
very
from
awful situation.
He got fired from living
by himself. He relieved himself
of his duty. Yeah.
So crown him.
Now, if you want to crown him, then crown their ass.
Nice. Nice. Congratulations. Yeah, good job, Eric. Congrats. Good work.
Next segment, you blew it.
Fan favorite. I always say, even though we've done no polling on that data. Who blew it for you, Chris?
Dude, we have a whole analytics team, so they pulled all that data.
Yeah, well, that's true. That is true.
The
Thank
DTA,
you, Kinsey.
Deep Thrones Analytics.
Deep Thrones Analytics. Who blew it for you?
So, Otto blew it for me. He got fired. And listen.
Wow. A crowning and a blowing.
It's...
He's done it all.
That's a great episode.
What can he do?
But it's not just because he got fired. It's because he has to understand if he's this, intelligent man that, you got to stroke Aegon's ego a little bit. He's going to be fired up. You can get your way still, but if you roll in calling him stupid and impetuous and all this stuff, you're going to get fired.
Yeah, that's fair.
So, Otto Hightower.
You blew it.
You blew it, Otto. You blew it, and I love you, buddy. I love you, buddy. My you blow it is Daemon. Obviously, Rhaenyra, those were not her wishes to have that kid killed. She wanted Aemon specifically, and it's kind of her own fault too, because she was not very specific. She said, I want Aemon Targaryen, and then fucked off out of there, and Daemon was like, I'll do my best. But Daemon.
You blew it.
You blew it, buddy.
Yeah, I love you, Daemon. I love you, but you blew it. Strategy with Lord Mims. Sims, if you are Rhaenyra, how do you spin the blood and cheese situation? Your team has killed a child.
Yikes. Yeah, that one. That one's tough. To be completely honest, I there's not much I can do. I guess for the sake of the segment, I would say that you go to war now. Like, there's no more posturing to try to kind of win your way back into the King's Landing graces and the Realm's Delight and all this. Like, you start taking the initiative, take Harrenhal, start working the Riverlands, work the Crown Lands. You know, it's going, it's on.
Yeah, no, I think you're right. I can't argue with any of that. So now we're on to everyone's favorite segment, Trial by Combat.
So
I like every segment's everyone's favorite segment.
You blew its fan favorite, but Trial by Combat is everyone's favorite.
Everyone else's,
right? Other
than the fans, people who hate listen, this is their favorite. Trial by Combat. All right, so I want I want a rabid fan base. I want fans that go to bat for me. I want the kind of annoying fans that are just always online being the worst. And what TV show has some of the most annoying fans of all time? And I actually like this show, The Office, mockumentary style. You get rabid comedy fan base of like, let's dissect Pam and Jim's love, and I was like, well, they're unbearable. But anyway, I want that kind of fan base, so I'm writing my own insufferable workplace comedy.
Okay.
And it's so I'm writing a workplace comedy, and it's a mockumentary style. And what's a silly job where you can meet some absolutely interesting characters?
I don't know, telecenter or something?
Probably, but no. Airport security, right? Constantly, people are funneling in and out that are crazy. The people who work there are more interested in their relationships than they are about anything else. They just want to be, and they're getting into like a lot of kooky situations. They work like their boss, the head of airport security, is sort of like the Michael Scott, and he's sort of like his name is Scott Michelson, and he's gonna be like, he thinks if he's really good at airport security, his promotion will lead him. Like, he wants to be a pilot. But in his brain, like, if there's a promotion from here to pilot from airport security, like, he thinks that it'll lead to that. So that's kooky. They're just silly. They get into all sorts of hijinks. They're terrible at their job. So coming to NBC this fall is my airport security mockumentary called Clear Air. And I think it's really silly. They're ne'er-do-wells. They try to work hard, but they're not very good at it. The show it takes place in August of 2001.
Oh.
They're really bad at airport security.
Oh, yeah. All right. Classic Scott Michelson.
Scott Michelson. Classic Scott Michelson. He's not very good at his job. So that one picked up by NBC. What do you think? Would you watch that if that was on TV?
I mean, I would watch all these.
Yeah. Yeah, it'd be a good show. Season 2 is rough. Boy. I appreciate it. Thank you.
Yeah. No, yeah, I would watch. I would definitely watch.
Yeah. I mean, you'd be glued to the TV.
There's a whole generation of folks who don't even know what
about Clear Air. Yeah, it's a good show though. It's educational, I guess, in some ways. But thank you guys for listening. That's another episode of Deep Thrones.
What a banger of an episode! Thank you for joining us. Share with us your thoughts on this episode. I loved it. Sheedy was lukewarm on it. We have some friends who already texted us that were a little bit lukewarm on it. So let us know your thoughts. We love to engage and hang out.
Yeah, and actually, I'm going to throw a curveball this week. Rhaenyra, hit me up. I'd love to be interrogated by you.
Check out the hand, switch, shoes on swoosh, hitters don't miss. Already just added a ton of y'all to my list. Bitch, death wish, not to be messed with, tested quiz. They shooting shots.